Imagine this for a second. A junior clerk is sitting completely alone at their desk on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. They click a single button and boom, they've successfully approved a one-core payment. No secondary checks, no manager sign-off, no multi-factor authentication from a department head. Literally just one click and 10 million rupees are out the door. Now, you want to know the absolute scariest part of this whole scenario? The system didn't actually break. There was no hacker, no malicious code. What actually happened was that IT gave this clerk an emergency override weeks ago during a routine system migration and just forgot to turn it off. This right here is the reality of hidden risks in modern financial systems.
So, how exactly do you stop a single unchecked click from turning into a massive financial disaster for your organization? Well, the answer is exception monitoring. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep into how to bridge that gap between necessary IT emergencies and ironclad financial security. As vigilant professionals, we know systems are built with safety nets, right? But those nets often have trapdoors. Today, we're going to learn how to actively monitor those trapdoors so you are never caught off guard by a catastrophic phantom approval.
Let's strip away the jargon for a minute. In simple words, an approval override is just a temporary, digital bypass of your normal signature rules during an emergency. We've all been there in the real world. Servers crash, automated workflows completely freeze up, maybe key personnel are unreachable, but the business absolutely must go on. You can't just halt operations because a digital form got stuck in the plumbing. So an approval override is a completely necessary backdoor for when things go wrong and standard protocols just go out the window. It's an intentional design feature meant for extreme edge cases. But as any vigilant risk manager knows, you absolutely cannot just leave a digital backdoor wide open, undocumented, and unmonitored. That's a recipe for fraud and just catastrophic errors. And that is exactly where exception monitoring comes into play. Think of this as your automated alarm system. It's strictly designed to record, log, and report every single time that emergency bypass is used. It doesn't lock the back door because, again, sometimes you critically need to open it, but it guarantees that nobody can slip through that door in the dark. It turns an invisible, behind-the-scenes action into a highly visible, instantly audited event.
To really picture how these two work perfectly together, think about a standard fire exit door in a highly secure corporate building. Normally, you have to swipe your ID badge at the main turnstile to get out, right? That's your standard workflow. But what happens if there's a fire? You break the glass, you push the emergency bar, and you escape immediately. That's your override. You bypass the normal ID swipe because you were in a crisis, but doing so instantly triggers a massive building-wide alarm, your exception monitor. Now the security team knows exactly who broke the rules, which door was opened, at what exact time, and ultimately why they had to do it.
Let's actually bring this into the workplace, with a high-stakes scenario at a company we'll call XYZ Limited. Imagine XYZ CFO is currently at 30,000 feet on a long-haul international flight, completely off the grid, no Wi-Fi, no cell service. Down on the ground, a massive factory shutdown is literally imminent within the next 2 hours. Why? Because a highly critical vendor payment for raw materials is currently stuck in the ERP system, anxiously waiting for that unreachable CFO's final digital approval. The entire production line is just frozen, waiting on one digital signature that isn't coming anytime soon.
The clock is absolutely ticking, and to prevent the factory from coming to a disastrous halt, the IT system administrator steps in to save the day. They trigger what's called a super user override to manually force this 50-log payment through the system, completely bypassing the mandated requirement for the CFO's sign-off. In that exact moment, the admin has broken the strict financial hierarchy to make sure the vendor gets paid and the assembly line keeps moving. Now, the immediate business objective is achieved, but a massive control gap has just been blown wide open.
Now here is where the automated safety net catches us and saves the organization from total chaos. Instantly, the very second that payment goes through, the exception monitor wakes up, it immediately generates an automated, high-priority alert and fires off a full incident log straight to the internal audit team. Because this alarm was tripped, the system admin is forced to officially justify on the record why they bypassed the financial hierarchy. They document the imminent factory shutdown, they log the CFO's flight status, and the immediate operational crisis is solved. But organizational accountability is perfectly preserved, leaving absolutely zero room for silent fraud.
You know, beginners in risk management constantly confuse standard delegation with an emergency override, but I assure you the difference is night and day. Delegation of authority, or DOA, is your normal, legally established spending limit assigned to a specific role. It's routine, it's perfectly safe, and it's just your standard operating procedure. An approval override, on the other hand, actively breaks those foundational DOA rules to solve an immediate, unforeseen crisis. It's highly dangerous, completely outside the norm, and inherently requires immediate, rigorous investigation to make sure it wasn't abused. Basically, one is following the rules, and the other is the permitted breaking of those rules.
And this brings us to the ultimate auditor's red flag, the silent superuser. As vigilant risk professionals, this is exactly the type of behavioral anomaly we're hunting for in the data. We're actively looking for IT admins, or even senior finance heads, who start getting just a little too comfortable with their emergency override powers. We look for individuals who start using these bypasses to push through routine, everyday invoices simply because they want to clear their backlog faster, or maybe because a manager is out to lunch. They start treating that emergency fire exit like their own personal revolving door.
The crucial takeaway here is that by abusing this emergency power for everyday convenience, they aren't just taking a harmless little administrative shortcut. No, they are actually completely destroying the company's segregation of duties. And segregation of duties is the absolute bedrock of preventing internal fraud and costly errors. By bypassing it routinely, they take what is fundamentally supposed to be a rare fail-safe mechanism and twist it into a massive gaping vulnerability in your financial controls. Once the exception becomes the rule, your entire governance structure effectively collapses.
You must aggressively monitor these bypasses. The logic is totally inescapable. If someone in your organization has the technical power to skip the rules, an automated, unalterable system absolutely must be watching them do it. Trust is great, but automated verification, that's essential. So I'm going to leave you with this critical question to take back to your own IT and audit teams. Who or what is watching your system's emergency bypasses right now? Think about that, audit those logs, and we'll see you in the next explainer.